Rub-a-Dub subs, it's Blackmetalwerewolf making a brand new video for you this week. And today I'm going to be talking about a small argument, if you could even call it that I had with a coworker at my job a couple days ago. Anyway, I was thinking it over, and I thought it'd make a really good discussion video. So here's essentially what happened. A few days ago, my job hired a bunch of new people, and whenever they hire new people, I have to interact with them because I'm a manager there. And I like to create a pretty welcoming and friendly environment. So I like to chat people up, get to know them, see their interests and that kind of stuff. So I just, ask, what are you into? They tell me the boring crap they're into. And of course, they always return the question, and I tell them, I'm in action movies, horror movies, heavy metal, I play some video games, I'm a pretty regular guy. And of course, as I'm chatting these new people up, there are other workers around who've been there for a while. And every time I bring up that I like heavy metal, one dickhead always has to get one good jab in about it. Now, I can take a joke as much as the next fella, but it kind of went from a joke to something that kind of pissed me off. So of course they just did the regular, oh, heavy metal, rah, 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 cookie monster shit, which, okay, it's a funny joke, I get it. I've heard it 1,000 times, but I fucking get it. But then one person said, you only like heavy metal because it's not mainstream. If it was mainstream, you wouldn't like heavy metal. And that got me thinking, well, first of all, what I really wanted to tell that guy to do was go fuck himself, but I can't do that, I get fucking fired. So that was my first instinct. But then I got, thinking like, would I dislike heavy metal if it was indeed mainstream? So let's talk about it. So immediately, my first thought to that comment was, well, after wanting to tell him to go fuck himself, was that no, I would not stop liking heavy metal simply because it became mainstream. For example, one of my most favorite bands in the entire damn world is Iron Maiden. I have to say, they are probably the second most mainstream metal band in the genre. I would personally put Metallica at #1, and I think Iron Maiden would be a close second. Mostly because it's a band that everyone knows, they've been around for such a long time. Even people who don't really like Iron Maiden have probably played Guitar Hero or those Rock Band games or whatever, and have heard like Number of the Beast and Run to the Hills and shit. And here in Canada they do very seldomly, but Iron Maiden does get some radio time, so you might hear, once again, Number of the Beast or The Trooper on the radio. So, I fucking love Iron Maiden, and I consider them relatively mainstream, so no, I do not dislike Iron Maiden simply because they're mainstream. I also don't dislike Metallica because they're mainstream. I think Metallica has some pretty solid songs. Some not so solid songs too, but that's not the point of the video. But then I started thinking like, there are some bands that I fucking can't stand, but is it because they're mainstream? For example, I think almost the entire hair metal movement was almost entirely made to be mainstream, to be able to have like a heavy metal look, but then get into like mainstream radio and television time. But I don't think I hate them because they're mainstream. I think I hate them because they have zero edge to it. There's no, punch factor. There's nothing like really evil and grand about it that makes me want to think, hey, this is so fucking cool. Whereas, black metal, it has such a dark mystique to it. And the sound, it just so happens to be something that wouldn't make it to mainstream media or radio or television, those kinds of things. And there are bands like Linkin Park, a band that I don't even consider metal, but some people do consider it metal for some reason, and they say, oh, Linkin Park is, super mainstream, and you don't like them because they're mainstream. No, I dislike Linkin Park because they suck. It has nothing to do with how much radio time they get. There are plenty of bands that I think are terrible that are not mainstream, simply because I just don't like their sound or whatever stance they happen to have. So I don't personally really think off the top of my head that I would immediately dislike a band simply because it's mainstream. The main reason I think I would dislike a band or metal as a whole if it became mainstream is what like a mainstream audience would do to it. For example, here in Canada, and I'm sure in a lot of other countries, that censorship on television and radio are pretty prevalent. So I was thinking, like, if a lot of metal bands did become mainstream and got on television and the radio, that they would be forced to censor themselves so much that it wouldn't become recognizable to what it was. Why would you play a death metal song on the radio if they're going to edit the crap out of it to make it something that it's not? In the past, I did a video about is it a good idea for metal to censor itself for the mainstream? And I said, no, it's a terrible idea because then you're watering down the brand and it loses everything that makes it metal. And I mentioned in the video that once I saw a Marilyn Manson music video on television for the song Armagoddamn Motherfucking Geddon. but they edited it so heavily that it became Arma blank 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 Geddon. In the song, they edited out the word satanic, the word abortion, of course, goddamn and fuck, you know. They edited it so much that it wasn't even the same song that it was. So if that's what the mainstream would do to any metal band, then of course I would dislike it, because you're ruining what the band stands for and what they're all about. So that would definitely make me not listen to a band anymore. But thankfully, I don't really listen to the radio to begin with, or any type of music television station, because I'm terrified of that type of censorship. That's one of the main reasons why I buy CDs, so I can listen to the music anytime I want, completely unedited, the way it should have been. But I just don't like the thought of them being censored to begin with. That's what I really dislike. Though there is one thing I am semi-worried about when it comes to metal becoming mainstream, and that is the possible oversaturation. As much as I like Metallica, there's only so many times I can hear Enter Sandman before I'm sick and tired of that fucking song. Back before I got rid of my cable, I would every now and then switch through the music channels just to see if, you know, maybe they'll play something good. It never fucking happened, but I like to hold out hope every now and then. But every time I went on there, it was the same repetitive shit over and over and over again. If Taylor Swift or Rihanna released a new music video, that is all you would see all day long. Like, every second music video was that same fucking thing. Personally, I don't see how people who are even fans of that can listen to the exact same thing over and over and over again. So I fear that if there was one metal band, or all metal bands became so mainstream that it became so oversaturated that I got tired of listening to it. For example, I absolutely love the new Immortal album, and I can sit down and listen to it a lot, but I'm afraid that if that became mainstream, they would produce like 8 music videos out of the album, and then I would get so sick and tired of seeing it that I would not want to look at that album anymore. Whereas now with just putting music on my phone, I can just listen to it when I personally feel like it. So thank God I'm not much of a music television watcher or much of a mainstream radio listener, so I'm not being oversaturated with the exact same bullshit over and over again. But I do think that that oversaturation could muddy the brand for a lot of really good metal bands. But that is just the way I see it. Some people can listen to the same shit over and over and over again. I have no idea how they can fucking do it, but if that's the way their brain works, that's the way their brain works, right? But now I'd kind of like to get your guys' opinion on all of this. Do you think if metal became mainstream that you would like it less? Or do you have a reason why you would like it less? Would oversaturation kill it for you? Would heavy censorship kill it for you? Or do you not care either way? I'd love to get your guys' opinion on all of this. So now, like my past videos, I either give an album recommendation or an album warning, and today is another recommendation. It is the band NorthWind Wolves. The album is Dark, Cold, Grim. If you watched my last video of the October Metalhead box opening, this is one of the albums I got in it. After I got it, I really wanted to check it out because it looked so cool. Sat down, listened to it. It is fucking amazing. I absolutely love it. My personal favorite song on the album is Foul Wolves and Black Magic. I'm not saying that that's like the end-all be-all for the album, because the entire album is great. That's just my personal favorite song on it. So I highly suggest you checking it out. It is NorthWind Wolves, Dark, Cold, Grim. I think you guys will really love it. So that's it for today's video. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of today's video. Check out some of my past videos and share it with a few of your friends while you're at it. If you want to keep up with me on a more daily basis, you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. I also have a P.O. box open. All of that info is down in the description. I also have a handful of patches left for sale, so if you'd like to get your very own, you can click right over here. There's also a link down in the description. Overall, thank you very much for watching, guys, and don't forget to stay brutal.